Greetings everyone. Today we are going to discuss about esophagus. What is esophagus? It is basically the narrow pipe-like structure, narrow muscular pipe-like structure which extends from the pharynx to the stomach. It is a narrow muscular pipe-like structure which acts as a pathway from pharynx to the upper region of abdominal cavity from the stomach, from the pharynx to the stomach. And it is having no bones or cartilages or such structure. It is only having muscles, and it is basically having no chemical and mechanical digestion inside it, and it is made up of four types of layers which we previously discussed. What is its length is around 20 to 25 centimeter and 10 inches. On the other side, when it comes to its width is 2 to 3 centimeter, diameter is 30 millimeter, as well as the thickness is 5 millimeter. During contraction and during relaxation, the thickness is 3 millimeter, and collectively that is 5.5 millimeter in both states. And apart from this, this length can vary during process of propulsion and peristalsis. Apart from which, there is the following structures are being given in the diagram here as well. That here, position of esophagus is posterior to the left atrium, is posterior to the left atrium. Apart from which, uh, the esophagus is having its extension starts from the lower neck to the upper region of abdominal cavity, and it is majorly found in the thoracic cavity, while it is minorly found in the abdominal cavity. And no chemical mechanical digestion occurs. Its outermost layer, in outermost layer we previously studied that it is serosa, but in esophagus outermost layer is adventitia instead of serosa. That is adventitia, but in which part? When it is present inside the thoracic cavity. In thoracic cavity, it is having its outermost layer as adventitia instead of serosa, and in thoracic cavity it is having its outermost layer as adventitia instead of serosa, whereas in the abdominal cavity is having its outermost layer as simple squamous epithelium, known as mesothelium, in the abdominal cavity only. So here this is how we classify its layer. And apart from this, some important information regarding the esophagus, that esophagus starts from which part. So esophagus basically, as we know, that we are having larynx. Over the larynx, the upper cartilage is known as the thyroid cartilage, downward cartilage is known as cricoid cartilage, backward cartilage is known as the backward cartilage is known as the aneroid cartilage. I'm not sure about the spelling. It's aneroid cartilage, backward cartilage, aneroid cartilage, thyroid cartilage, and cricoid cartilage. So the part where the cricoid cartilage is ended, so esophagus starts from the part where the cricoid cartilage is ended, which causes to arise esophagus. But esophagus is not attached with cricoid cartilage, but the part where the cricoid cartilage is ended, esophagus is started, as you can see in the diagram as well. Apart from which, we are having the location. We are having vertebrae, and where does esophagus start? Esophagus starts from C6 vertebrae, cervical vertebrae 6, and extends towards the second last vertebrae of thoracic vertebrae, which is T11, second last vertebrae of cervical to the second last vertebrae of the thoracic. And where, as we know that esophagus basically passes through the diaphragm. It passes through the diaphragm, but where does it passes through the diaphragm? It passes through the diaphragm at the C10, at C10. Oops, it's T10, sorry. So it passes through the diaphragm at T10, below the T11. So it is passes through the diaphragm. The esophagus passes through the diaphragm at thoracic vertebrae 10, and it is having two sphincters, which is known as upper esophageal sphincter and lower esophageal sphincter. Upper esophageal sphincter is having its function to prevent air to enter inside the esophagus and alimentary canal. Lower esophageal sphincter is having the function to uh, prevent acid from the stomach to enter in the esophagus. That occurs exceptionally in antiperistalsis, but normal condition it doesn't take place. So um, lower esophageal sphincter is also known as cardiac sphincter, gastroesophageal sphincter, uh, as well as cardiac gastroesophageal sphincter. Prevent acid from stomach to esophagus. Apart from which, uh, a position of esophagus is posterior to the left atrium, and in front of the esophagus, on the dorsal side, esophagus uh, is basically present on the dorsal side of the trachea, on the dorsal posterior side of the trachea, and it is present on the ventral side of the vertebrae, due to which we utilize the phenomenon, the vertebrae, in order to describe its location and position. Apart from which, it is basically present in the mediastinum, as it is present inside the thoracic cavity. But in which part of thoracic cavity? It is present in mediastinum of thoracic cavity. And that's all about today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we are going to move and